Okay, sir.
Hello. Yeah, good. Just let me know when you're ready. Do you need to look over anything?
I think I'll be good. I'll just look over. You guys?
Okay. Typically, I think Jewel reviews this for the media, to hand to the media, and the media is over there in the corner. In the Adidas shirt.
You look over this first.
Yeah, he looks it over. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, we'll start the meeting. I'd like to welcome you to the July 7th Town Council meeting. We'll first do our pledge, and then Mr. Worthing will do our invocation. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, as we gather this evening, this council asks for strength, courage, and wisdom. We thank you for the privilege of serving this wonderful town and the people who live in it. In Jesus' name we pray.
I'll now call the meeting to order. The meeting is in order. The first item on the agenda is the approval of our minutes from the previous meeting on June 16th. Do I have a motion for that?
Motion to approve the minutes as written from June 16th.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Shane, do we need to approve the minutes from the Thursday, May 7th meeting? I noticed that those were in the packet.
Yeah, they were. I put it in the back. I'm sorry. We were gonna. That was from the joint meeting with the
Oh, okay.
RDC.
So we had a meeting Thursday, May 7th. This was a unusual joint meeting here in the government center between us and the RDC. Have the members of the council been able to review these? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve these?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thanks for that reminder. Okay, there we go. Next item on the agenda, unfinished business. Item A is Federal Medical Leave Act. Do you have a copy of that paperwork there with you?
I don't see it in here.
He was in the last packet, so I didn't, because it was unfinished business, I thought Jill was gonna be here, so I didn't
Sorry.
put that in there.
So we don't have it in front of us to look at.
Apparently not. Wait a minute, we were waiting for the documentation from,
I sent it over.
you sent it over to me?
Mm-hmm. I have a copy here if they would like to
That would be
real quick,
great.
but I did send a copy to the clerk's office to be reviewed for this agenda.
Does look familiar.
Do you want to review it? I don't see it in this packet here, and you don't have it in yours.
I do not.
You wanna pass it down and let everyone look at it?
Yes.
We can go ahead and vote on it, and
I think I'll let you look at it
Are you guys
first.
just the approving body and then you guys
Yes.
review it and, okay.
Basically, we're just reviewing that
Okay.
its paperwork's filed correctly.
Yep. You said Jewel had reviewed it last time too, right?
Did Jewel look at it?
it was sent out in. If we need to hold it, we can make it retroactive.
I don't think it's a good issue. I think you guys just review and vote. Should be fine.
Okay.
She said it's okay just to review.
Yeah, you agreed that it looked okay?
Mhm.
Okay.
I think it's the agenda to him or all of them.
She usually sends it to him, all of it. Don't you send the agenda package to her?
Oh, no, I mean to,
No.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Yes. He usually gets all of that unless there's something in it that,
And that's the opiate litigation that I wanted to,
Okay.
I wanted to give to Jewel.
Okay.
so basically you make sure there's no personal information
Yep.
or something like that in there.
That makes sense.
Do we have a motion or?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the FMLA. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
So we can-
Is there a place to sign, or is that strictly the police commission? I don't see a place to sign for me. Okay, the next item on the agenda, nepotism policy. Were you able to get anything from,
I had something to Diana, but it was right after we talked.
okay? It's right here.
And that was just an ordinance to just adopt the Indiana law and the minimum requirements. That was what I was under the impression you guys had talked about last time. And all that would do is just adopt, Indiana's nepotism chapter and no additional, more stringent requirements.
Pass it down. Give the council a minute to read it.
I did get that until like 4:45 tonight.
Yeah. Well, you came in late today, so. When, yeah. Is Jewel on vacation?
Summer read. He did give us one. I think.
questions or comments from the council?
I've seen this from the other side, as a police commissioner. When I was on there, we hired a relative of our then police chief. Both the new hire and the police chief are outstanding people. But I did feel like, as a sign of loyalty, I wanted to support the police chief. But I also feel like it put a real hardship on the police chief himself when it came to disciplining. And I know that there is a barrier there. And I guess the way I understand the ordinance, there would also be the barrier at the park department because it has a board that hires and fires, as opposed to just the department head hiring themselves. So it does give a layer of protection, if you will. My only concern is my love for my family. I would do anything in the world for my daughters. And I know we have good people in this town that have strong family faith and beliefs also. I think we have a tool that was put into place to protect both the department heads and the employees themselves. And I'm comfortable with where we're at now. That's just my 2 cents.
Any other comments from the council?
So I've reached out, since we're in the middle of revamping the entire policies for the employee policies. This was actually already done, but the employee policies, the entire handbook's not done. You got a copy of that.
Right.
And this was already kind of changed. And it is their recommendation to kind of go to the statute. I just am hesitant on doing it right now until I have the entire handbook done. But I see the need to change it now for a hiring process.
And I'm just trying to be fair to everyone. I mean, we're in violation of it right now. I mean, we've got town employees that were in violation of that, of our own policies, and that's what we need to correct. You know, if that's what we're gonna do. You know, it's not, I mean, what's fair for one is fair for everybody.
Were they hired before the policy and handbook?
I'm not sure when that.
Because I know that
exact
it
date.
correctly says grandfather in.
Sure.
Any other comments, questions from the council?
My only concern is that we're in the middle of the process right now. I think it does need to be changed and not be more strict than the state guidelines, but I also think that it shouldn't be done right in the middle of a process. That's my opinion.
Anybody from the audience want to speak to this issue? Okay. Do we have any more discussion or a motion from the council?
I make the motion, we approve the new ordinance to mirror state law for nepotism.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? There's no second. So the motion
Fails for lack of a second.
fails for lack of a second. When's the next time this could be brought up?
Have to look into that.
Is it the next meeting or?
It would go, I think, by your, whatever guidelines are in place
Okay.
here. So, I think some places, if you go by Robert's Rules of Orders, it'll be something, and you might have something different, so I can look at that.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the summer sewer rate program, and have you had a chance, I know that the town attorney is on vacation, were you able to get a copy of an ordinance from him?
was not, I think it's still in the process of being worked on.
He's still writing it. We had told people we would have it by this meeting. And I think there was supposed to be a 3-month and a 4-month ordinance, correct? To choose from. So I don't know how we want to handle this, because we don't have it in front of us to vote for, so. I mean, but she was asked to serve here late today, so I don't know why the town attorney didn't get it done, to be honest with you, but.
I can circle back and, try to check in the best I can on the progress.
Is there a way to move forward with one plan or another today, or there's really nothing to vote for, is there?
I think you need to use the ordinance.
So, thoughts?
I personally think that we have to hold off because we don't have the ordinance.
Yeah,
For the protection of both the citizens and the town. But I think we hold a special meeting and hurry this along as fast as we can.
when do you think you could have an ordinance drafted? Do you need to talk with him about it?
I don't see why there's any reason it couldn't be, ready for a meeting early next week. I wouldn't see why, unless there's some holdup I'm unaware of, but to my knowledge, there shouldn't be.
I'm aware of no holdup here, I just didn't see the ordinance in our packet, so.
Yeah, I don't see why you couldn't have advertise for a meeting at the end of the week and have one early next week,
Okay.
if not even earlier.
We don't need any motion to do that, do we? Or do we need a motion to schedule a special meeting?
Since you don't know when it is, I wouldn't do that yet, but I can just reach out to you guys and give you the status, and then you can set a meeting and we can advertise.
Okay, I apologize to the members of the audience.
May I approach?
Yeah,
Real quickly,
Yeah.
John Earhart, 5485 East Commons Drive.
yeah.
You made a mention of a 3-month or a 4-month.
Mhm.
I think what you approved was a 4-month. We talked originally about a 3, and it's really a 4-month summer program.
John, I think you approved the 4-month.
Right.
I think
Well-
what we asked of legal counsel was to draft us a 3 and a 4-month, and we would approve one or the other. At that time, we asked, that Baker Tilly do an analysis on the 4-month. They'd done the 3-month for us for that meeting. Then we threw in that 4-month, and they were going to do an analysis of the 4-month.
He agreed to it. If it's a 4-month he said, that's fine. I mean, as I recall, we had some people here, but it's not a 3-month, it's a 4-month.
I don't think we ever voted on it. I think I made the comment, I'm in favor of the 4-month is what I said, but it was never a form of a motion. We were waiting on them to bring back the formalities of the paperwork, but I would support the 4-month.
Yeah, I've got the historical data to show, it's a 4-month. We start watering in July, so the adjustments for July, August, September, and October, because the water runs 1 month behind. In June, you get assessed in July water in August and September and October. So the 4 months are July, August, September, and October. And I didn't know you were gonna have a 3-month or a 4-month. I don't know what.
We didn't have true numbers. We assumed that when they brought the numbers to us at our last meeting.
$17,400.
$17,000. And they did some numbers, and what they found was historically, like you said, our last year's September, which was a very low rain period last year, as opposed to previous years, that reflected, rather than 1/3 of 17,000, I think the numbers, and someone helped me out here, that came in an email to us, I think it was $36,000 in lost revenue, including the September. So that's why we had asked for that. We assumed And we all know what that does. We assumed that we could just take 17,000, divide it by 3, add that right back to it. I think that if you go back to the tape, I said approximately 24,000. And he said, yeah, I mean, he said that makes sense if you do that. So it was good knowledge for us to do that. But we did ask, because we didn't have that knowledge, we did ask for trying to speed things along 3 and 4 months, to where when we had the information available to us, then we could move forward no matter what we saw. We had all of our options covered.
But as I recall, he said the 17,400 represented 0.05% of the budget. That's what he said, of the revenue stream. Right. It's peanuts to the overall package. I mean, there's more homes being built right now that's going to bring up the shortfall. There's 31 homes going in behind us called Hadley's Corner. Darrell Sweeney developed. There's homes being built in North Madison Estates, about 8 homes. And then there's homes being built in villages of Eastmore. So those are all going to help make up for any of the shortfall that hasn't been calculated with new homes being built. And these are homes with children involved, and they're water users more so than our 1- and 2-person households.
Thank you.
And I think the holdup here was just, we're just waiting on the ordinances. So as soon as they see both things, I know they're gonna hold a special meeting and move forward with it.
Yeah, I just hoping that ordinance was going to be amended tonight and we'd have
It
a
was
vote
supposed
or
to
see
be.
you vote on
It
it.
was supposed to
be tonight also.
It was.
Okay, well, we appreciate it.
It's not,
That's our-
it's not,
yeah.
it's not,
It's on legal, so we'll do our best to get it done soon.
Okay.
it's not us holding it up.
Thank
I'm
you.
not trying to be a jerk, but I'm a little displeased that it wasn't here tonight myself, so,
I appreciate it, Shane. Thank you.
okay. Anybody else on the summer sewer rate before we move on? Next item on the agenda, sewer hookup 655 State Road 267. I think that's, yeah.
Good evening.
Yep.
Last meeting, we talked, you asked that we talked to our 2 neighbors. We have one neighbor that lives to the north and west of us, and then we have a neighbor that lives to the east of us. The neighbor to the north and west of us said no, which we kind of thought that would probably be the case. The neighbor to the east of us said we're still in communication with them. They didn't seem to think that that would be a major problem. Their biggest concern was that whatever was put in properly, so it wouldn't reflect any kind of further problem on their property. The right-of-way, they said it wasn't a big issue. They have already like 2 other right-of-ways on their property now. We also looked at, I don't know if this is even feasible, David may know, but as you guys spoke last week about, we could potentially go down our drive, and then go north along 267 and tap in there at the Pioneer Country Estates before the sub pump. You guys, someone had mentioned, is that possible? And I don't know if it is or not, but that's another route that we could do and avoid anybody's property if we did that. It's about an 830-foot run to do it that way. The one, if we go straight back, it's about a 600-foot run. So both are lengthy runs.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
I'm sorry, my name is Mike Cottrell.
Thanks. Do you have anything to add? What he's-
I don't have anything to add to what he said, other than possibly staying on his property down his drive. 30 years from now may be the best route. Just don't know what's going to happen crossing someone's property, but you know,
Right.
it's just hard to tell.
Dave, do you think it's even possible to go down our drive and north on 267?
I think so. It's pretty flat. I think you'd have plenty of fall. Of course, you would want to shoot the elevations to make sure that you could have enough fall. Once you turn and head north, you'd
Right.
have enough fall too.
That would be my concern. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, we have enough fall getting to the road.
Yeah.
It's from the road to the hookup, which is probably just shy of 200 feet, I think. Like I said, that would avoid getting on anyone's property if we done that. Which I think would be our preference, if that's possible to even do, to avoid any conflict with any of our neighbors. Even though our one neighbor seems to be very compliant, we would just soon not have to do that if we didn't have to.
Comments or questions from the board?
The sewer line, is it right in the middle of Pioneer?
Pioneer or Northridge Estates?
Ooh, I guess that would be Mooresville.
Yeah, one comes down in the middle of Northridge Estates.
That's right, it is Northridge.
And then is it across there, across 267 there?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
And it's gravity back on the west side? Or is there a lift station there?
There's a lift station at Hopkins Gravel Pit Drive. It's gravity to the north of that, and obviously it's pumped south.
So would he have to go, wait a minute, to their drive? At his office?
Yes.
At the office? Do you know how deep it is there?
I think on Northridge, it's about 8 feet deep in the street. I don't know how deep the lift station is. It's going to be really close.
Historically, what we'll look at is trying to, if you started on your property and ran a main north on 267 right to that, that would be a way that you could hook up there. If we got the right of ways to go across that property directly to the north of you. Did you say he seemed somewhat willing to work with you?
No, the one to the north of me hasn't shown any sign. He told us no.
Okay, all right. Do you know, I know that's state there, do you know that we have any easements at all through there, or was state?
Was the states, there will be some easement off the edge of the road. I don't know if it's for sewer line, but there would be room off the east edge of 267 there for development.
What's that?
Share it on monitors.
Go ahead. Do you want to?
It'd take a long time.
Okay. I got it here.
I guess a question I might have is, who, and Dave, you might be able to answer, who could we contact, even if this is an option you guys are considering? Who could we contact to check it out to make sure if even if it's possible? I mean, if it's not possible, conversation is over.
I think what we need to do is we need to have you contact an engineer on whether or not you can run down through there.
Okay,
We can try, David, I think maybe Dave can try to get council's permission to give the accessibility to it. And what we'd have to do is we'd have to go north. Now, instead of, I'm gonna explain this the way it was explained to me to where I grasped it, someone Fisher priced it for me. If we can run your line in a 4-inch line up to that pipe, and I'm throwing numbers out there, we say 4 inches, we'll do it. If that costs you X amount of money, it costs you $1 to do that. If you oversize that, anything oversizing that and offside of your property, we could refund back to you if we enter into a developer availability, a developer agreement. And what that would do is anyone south of you, we would make it would be engineered where anyone south of you could hook onto it. And then anyone, your neighbor north of you, and that may be a selling point, your neighbor north of you then could run a lateral down to it and tie into it also.
Yeah, because he's on septic as well.
And what happens there is, you're still out your money as far as what it would cost you to do.
Correct.
But with the oversized portion of it, you would pay for that, and then we would pay you back for that.
Gotcha.
It is a process that we've had. Looking in the fund right now, I think we've got about $90,000 in there, so we could, we would finagle that to where, we've gone into economic hard times with people that had hundreds of thousands of dollars laid out there. We didn't have the money to reimburse them. It is truly first in, first out funds. So what happens is when you tie onto our sewer, when the next guy ties onto our sewer, they pay two fees. They pay an availability fee, and then they pay a hook-on fee. And it is that availability fee that funds that portion of the operation of offsite and oversized. What it helps us do is it helps us to look into the future as far as the people south of you and the people north of you, hey, we need to hook onto our septic spout.
Right.
When we go to municipal waters, a lot of times we start seeing the failures because we don't conserve water the way we used to. When the residents were on wells. So usually that is brought to us by a developer. Usually that is, the developer goes to an engineering firm and says, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. They may look at it and say, you're crazy, it's not going to work, or we're not going to take it on, or they may say, hey, it's going to cost you X amount of money for us to engineer what may or may not happen. And what you would say to them is, I want to know what it would take. I'm going to enter into a developer agreement. I want to know what it would take to run a line to there, and then I want to know what it would take to run a line that's that's oversized to where it can take on the properties south of you and your north neighbor.
Right.
It also gives you a selling point to your north neighbor to say, hey, I'm going to make this big enough to at some point in time, if yours fails, you can run a lateral down to it. Dave, do you agree with?
Yeah, that sounds correct, and be glad to work with you through all that.
Okay. Because I'm assuming that 2 houses even south of us probably have septic as well.
I'm sure.
I'm sure they are. Since we are, I'm sure they are. So there's about 5 houses through there that's using septics right now.
I'm one of them.
Oh, you're one of them?
I'm almost your neighbor.
Okay.
So,
But that is something that you could look into. Now,
Okay.
they're going to say, I'm not saying that you have to run the pipe all the way to the south. What I'm saying is, you would run the pipe in where someone ran the pipe to the south.
Correct.
to-
They could plug into it.
They could plug into it, yes. My recommendation to him would be that he's gonna have to bite the bullet and spend a little money and hire an engineer, and then bring us back something that we have to use with.
And I'm okay with that. I think that's very reasonable, so I'm okay with doing that. But I think we need to, obviously, we need to know what we can and can't do before we have any kind of decision.
and Dave you can be in contact with them to help them through as best you can.
Okay.
Fair enough?
So that's fair enough. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Next item on the agenda, the gateway maintenance bid.
I have prepared.
We can just combine the gateway update and the gateway bid,
Okay.
it's the same thing.
I put together some numbers. First of all, I'll start with, I met with the 2 contractors that bid on it the other day, and if you remember, they kind of went in together, to put together a combined bid. We met the other day and we looked at it closer and we were able to shave about $10,000 off of that. Yeah, I'm sure it would look amazing when they're done. They're very good at what they do. If their names are gonna be on it, it's gonna look good. So if the council wants to go with that, maybe we could entertain an idea of a one-year contract not to exceed $65,000. Another option, maybe we could free up some money and I could bring in some seasonal labor to get started on pulling the weeds and replacing some plants and some mulch here and there. I think for a couple of months, maybe 3 months at the most, I did the math on a couple of months, it'd be about $10,000. The third option is we can continue as we are, doing it with the street guys, doing the best we can with what we have. And of course, that's obviously no additional cost. So I put those 3 options together. If you want to discuss that before I move on to the other big things.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, do you, I know I'm putting you on the spot, do you recommend one? What would you like to see? I'm just curious. Doesn't mean we're gonna do it, but.
I would like to see free up a little money to bring in some seasonal helpers. And try to do it sort of in-house. We have a month left before school starts. I typically use college and high school kids during the summer months. Wasn't able to do that this year for a couple of reasons. But I think that would be my choice. Now, I would like to think, I don't know how to say this, I think parks and grounds would probably do an outstanding job, probably a little better than what we would be able to do. But there's a big money difference.
Comments, questions from the council?
I personally agree with Dave that it's a heck of a lot of money difference wise. Kind of the holdup was the big price tag there. And I would even take that a step further. And I'm thinking out loud here, if we could even do like an adoptive median or something like that. Save even more money. I know that we could shave them off some, but then we have to set down restrictions on the MUTCD, requirements for bushes and things like that for people to see around them. But that's just my 2 cents. I'd like to see that eventually get done.
Any other comments, questions?
What was the cost on seasonal, you said, Dave?
I think it would be right around $10,000, rest of July, August, and maybe into September. That would be pay and some mulch and there's some plants out there that we need to replace if we can get them in the late season.
Does that include all the trees that are missing? We've got a lot of dead ones in the downtown. We've got
Yeah, I didn't figure in the cost for trees.
We've got some snapped from the tornado, like in the Bicentennial Park. I know that's on the sidewalk. I don't know if it's in the park. Is that town or park right there? It's on the sidewalk, so I'm assuming it's town, but I don't know.
Just give it to the park and take them.
But anyway, I know there's some snap down here.
There's some dying due to the mulch being mounted up too high on
Do you think this option would give us until like the winter to figure out what to do next year?
the.
COVID's hurt our ability to do some things too.
Right. I think this option would make it look better for the remainder of the growing season. And then over winter, we could regroup and come back with a different plan.
I mean, I'm of the opinion, if they don't look good, I'd rather take them out and mow it than have it look like it does. I mean, I'm sorry to be a negative Nelly, but that's what I think. And we still were talking about doing a traffic study, but then COVID hit and traffic went down, so
Right.
you've got more issues on this going on too. Any other comments or questions?
Where's the money coming from for the supplies? You said mulch and trees and plants, where's that money coming from?
In our 100 numbers, we did allow for seasonal help. It's either in the.
Yeah, I see seasonal help, so we can use that to buy stuff other than help.
And we also have a gateway maintenance fund.
This shows $19,000, $488.02 in that account. The gateway maintenance fund.
19,000.
What was your breakdown of the $10,000? How much is materials and how much is labor?
I did 2 employees, $13 an hour for 2 months. That's $6,032. And then I added $3,000 for mulch. I threw another $1,000 in there to shoot for the moon.
Anybody from the audience want to comment on the gateway? Okay. Do we have a motion or any other discussion?
How much in materials? So you got almost
I
70,000 in labor for 2 people, which is not gonna be able to do all that work.
It's a tremendous amount of work.
Yeah. I mean, that's put lipstick on a pig, right?
It would show that we're moving forward despite all the obstacles that's in front of us right now. Slowly start to make them look, I would like to think that we could start to make them look better. A couple of,
How many men do you have on it now?
I have a supervisor and 8 skilled labor employees
Dead or on it now?
that are on it now. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I have a couple of guys, 2 or 3 hours a week working on them. You know, we do what we can. We try to weed eat the weeds and then we spray them. And I'm just leaving that right there.
We have to mow from sign to sign, right? North gateway sign to the south gateway sign. Do we mow the medians or does the state do it?
We only maintain the improved areas around the flower beds and around the signs, torches. We don't mow the entire median for that stretch. That's an incredible amount of grass to mow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how many acres you do mow?
I don't know. That's 2 guys, 4 days, 8 hours a day.
That bid, I think, said that there was 65,000 square feet of mulch.
Correct.
That's not counting the stuff that's up here. That's a lot of mulch.
Correct.
Can't we take it all out of gateway? I don't know what the answer is. It's a mess, for sure. I just don't know 2 people, 2 kids are gonna be able to tackle this project. It is done.
I think
last year, of course, I don't know, I think he had 58 kids working for him last year. But I think they did a pretty decent job last year on about everything that he tackled. My comment, my thought was, do out of the 100 numbers, you know, cutting it back 50% or more, do $8,000 out of payroll, the seasonal help out of utility department, that we budget 22,000, and then take all of the materials out of the gateway maintenance fund. I think that would give us a start at least. But I also think that at any time, if any of us prior to a meeting don't see the results that we're wanting to see, we can pull the plug on it. If Dave doesn't see the results that he wants to see, he can pull the plug. That is funding options.
I mean, to me, the plan for this year should have happened last year. And we're into COVID, so maybe it is a bridge to something we can, I don't intend to take Gateway off the agenda until we figure it out, because I'm not gonna let it go. I'm embarrassed by it. And that's not I'm not blaming you personally, I'm blaming a lack of planning. So maybe it would give us a chance to figure it out. Maybe we can get a traffic study done that we've talked about, so we know what to do in the entire Gateway, which I don't think there was a traffic study done by the past redevelopment commission for that project. I could not find one, and for the life of me, I have no idea why that happened. So, do we have a motion?
That would be my motion.
Would you mind repeating it for me?
Nope, don't have a clue what I said.
I know you do.
To fund labor out of the 100 numbers, the stormwater seasonal help, or utility, not stormwater, sorry. The utility department seasonal help, up to $8,000. But buy all the materials out of the gateway maintenance fund.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. We'll do an all in favor. All in favor? Aye. It's a start.
Hey, halfway through this, can you report back and let us know, and we'll let you know as well.
Okay, I will.
Yep.
The other thing I'm working on the gateway, trying to get the lighting prepared for the torches. We have hired MW Electric. He has taken all the components, all the faulty components out, waiting on the new components to come in. He thinks they'll be in by the end of the week. He's gonna have them installed, and then he's gonna bring in a water truck and just flood them to make sure that what he puts in will work. With new controllers, and he is very confident that what he's doing is gonna work, so. Hopefully by the next council meeting, we'll be operational.
Have they ever worked right completely?
I'm sure before they turned it over to the town, they worked right. They were just never sealed correctly, wrong components to keep the moisture out. He stated that once any bit of moisture entered the electronic boxes, then the programming would reset to the original position. That's why we were never able to set them for the year, and the lights would light up green for St. Patrick's Day, red and green for Christmas. So has it ever been right? I don't think so. It didn't work right for a short time, I think.
Do you have an estimate on what it's gonna be?
He assured me it wouldn't be over 20,000.
Okay.
think it would be over 10,000, but he said, it will be over 20. Yeah, we'll see.
I rescind my motion on the 8,000, I guess we're gonna need it.
Any comments, questions for Dave?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Next item is Linnell, the CF1.
It's not in there.
It's not in here either?
No, because Jewel was going to get with the company.
Oh, okay. This is the one where they hadn't started the project yet?
Right.
You probably didn't know anything about this either, did you?
Typically, he would.
Well, follow this.
So last meeting we tabled it. Jewel was supposed to contact Linnell. Do you remember this? They hadn't started the project, so we,
I can check in about that.
okay.
I thought that was Sun Polymer who hadn't started theirs 2 meetings ago. I thought Linnell's problem was they had sent 2 sets of paperwork.
Okay, yeah, I think you're right. I think you're correct. That's right.
Is that 2 sets?
Yeah, I think, wasn't the issue the dates didn't match up or something like that? We were trying to figure out,
He was gonna reach out to the company himself.
and yeah, he was gonna reach out to him himself and figure out what the problem is, so.
Okay.
Next item, new business, Packmore Technologies, CF1, is that? Got it.
It's right there. Just they gave me the envelope. There's 2 of them.
Okay.
See that one in their packet? Did members of the council get it in their packets?
What's that? Packmore process?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, do we have discussion or a motion?
They actually have 2,
Yep.
the CF1 for real, property. Resolution 1, 2012, they are well within substantial compliance, and I make a motion that we approve their CF1.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Then on their, on resolution 15, 2015, again, well within substantial compliance, I make a motion that we approve their CF1 for resolution 15, 2015.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. So then,
So are we tabling 1L, is that what?
yeah, do we need a motion to do that or just pass it?
Table it, yeah. Keep it on the agenda next time.
Okay, so we do need a motion to table Linnell? Okay. Do I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is Holloway's vacate an alley. Is there a speaker here for them?
I don't know where this is at, but typically for a vacation like this, it would be a petition and then a hearing and then an ordinance. So I don't know if someone was just going to speak on it today.
Has this been
Was that the
this is
vacation
the
alley?
vacation? Yeah,
That was the only thing that Holloway brought into our office was just
just the plat.
the plat, and that's in the Eastmore subdivision? I know that we talked about that, taking those streets over, and I didn't know how that would play into that as far as the alleys.
The problem with this is when this subdivision was approved, it was approved that the roads would be brought up to town standards and the town would take them over, which they have requested that and we approved. However, part of that rezone and plat approval was that we would not assume maintenance or upkeep of the alleys. So I don't know if this is a plat change rather than a vacation of an alley, because I don't know that we own the alley to be able to vacate it. That would be my big concern. I know that when the request came in to take over the roads, the streets, we were going to, I think I gave minutes from that planning commission meeting back in 2006 of those, and Jewel was going to take the roads in. But part of that was, that's kind of a unique area there where all of the homes are serviced, all of the interior homes are serviced by alleys behind them.
Yep.
And if you look at this here, of course, this picture here doesn't show, EGIS will show that there's a house on that final lot, maybe encroaching that platted alley. So I don't know what the answer is. I was hoping that Ross could explain that if he were here this evening. Or someone from Holloway.
There's no representative from Holloway here, right? Just want to be clear.
Motion to table.
Okay, we have a motion to table the Holloway vacate alley. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Next item, NICEPAC allocation area, resolution 8/2020. Hi, Chelsea.
Hello, good evening. I'm Chelsea Mans here on behalf of the Redevelopment Commission. You should have received, I believe in an email yesterday, a resolution 8-2020. In addition to that, you had received resolution number 1-2020, which was a planning commission resolution that was passed earlier, as well as resolution 2020-2, which was Redevelopment Commission's declaratory resolution dating back to May. So what this is, if you'll remember, we came before you, the commission came before you last fall for the creation of the 2019 allocation area, which was the roughly 100 acres formerly known as Poly property. We're now calling Mooresville Business Center. We went through this entire process. Then we're now coming before you again because what we're doing is carving out 56 acres of that, roughly 56 acres, which is west of the creek, if you're familiar with that property, to create a NICEPAC allocation area. So this has already been approved as a TIF. We're pulling it out to make it its own TIF to coincide with the NICEPAC project. So I'm happy to answer any questions. It really is as straightforward as it sounds.
What will our resolution number be?
8, correct? Yeah, resolution 8.
Motion to approve resolution 8/2020.
We have a motion and a second. I'm sorry, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much. Do you have a copy for execution?
Yes. Yes. I'm going to pass this down for everybody to sign. Thank you. Next item is sewer hookup, Sean Stewart, and I think I saw Sean. Yep, come on up. How are you doing?
Good, how are you guys?
Good.
Ross, email anything over to you guys?
I have not seen it, no.
Okay. Well, thanks for talking about it if you guys haven't seen it.
Have you, did you get, no?
Okay. What are you supposed to? He's obviously not here, so I'll.
Yeah.
I have two two parcels of land on Hendricks County Line Road, one just north of Indianapolis Road and one at the northwest corner of Hendricks County Line and Indiana Street, both on the Hendricks County side that I'd like to develop. I'd like to be able to tie into Mooresville sewer to be able to do this. I have a preliminary approval from Hendricks County to do what's called an estate neighborhood, large tracts on septic, but I'd like to be able to put in more houses, but to do that, I need to be able to look into Mooresville sewer. And those are two examples of what the neighborhoods could look like.
So there's 2 tracks?
There are 2 tracks. When we talked initially, it was just one. I have
Yeah.
since purchased a second track.
Oh, you have?
Mhm.
Okay.
So that's at Indiana Street and County Line Road. There's an old white farmhouse there at that 4-way stop.
Mary Road,
Pardon me?
Mary Road Walker.
Yep, yeah.
So you have 36?
36 lots. And that one, I think, 12 counting the existing home.
I'll pass this down. Is this your only copy?
No,
This
you,
one?
you can have that.
Okay, I'll pass it down.
That's my only copy for now, but I know well enough to
Well,
talk about it.
we'll give it back to you. I just.
Okay.
And this plat that you have drawn up, is this on septics?
No, this is what they would be if I had sewer access.
Well, how many would it be on the septics?
10 lots on the bigger neighborhood, 3 lots on the smaller neighborhood.
Is the one parcel the big one, or is it 25 acres?
22 acres.
22?
Yeah.
Little dog leg north and then east, that gives you contiguity right to Plainville property, doesn't it?
Correct.
Are you prepared to talk about what kind of homes you want to build, or?
Yeah.
I know you purchased some property up there in the old Stanley Cove.
Yes.
Is that serviced by sewer there?
It is.
How far is it from this property to that property?
Guessing a mile.
Do I?
A mile. Yeah. The closest Hendricks County sewer would be the Highlands off of the old 267, the backside of Dick Ross Farm on the west side of Indiana Street.
West.
Yeah, he has a little parcel over there on the west side of Indiana that is separate from
Mayor's Meadow is not.
it'd be just south of Mayor's Meadow.
That one's tied in?
No, it is not, but the neighborhood directly behind it,
Okay.
through the trees, is the closest property on the Hendricks County side is tied into sewer.
And it's gravity out of it to a lift station on the other side.
Correct, yep. Yep. And the idea of the homes would be very similar to the Stanley Cove type homes, custom 250 to 400,000 homes. I do have an easement with the landowner to the east of the property. I know water runoff is a big issue in that area. So I have an easement that allows me to divert the water to his pond, so everything goes east and does not go south or west into the town. I know that little creek there has a tendency to flood. That was a big issue with that.
I know there was some, in the billings from TAP, there were some questions, or there was some research done on annexation across county lines. Can Hendricks County annex Mooresville? No one's paying attention.
I would have to look into that
Can-
question.
Can we annex across county line? And the part that concerns me there is, counties take care of their south borders, so that road is maintained by Hendricks County. So if we annex into that, do we then have to assume the maintenance of the road? You know, we've had every meeting, we're trying to make things right with our sprinkling system, and we've had people that have complained that they don't have the opportunity to vote for this council because they're outside of Mooresville. They're not in the annexed area. We don't have complete contiguity to them, and that's one of their big complaints. I know you said you have preliminary zoning. Zoning is contingent upon what happens next in that area. Plainfield is right there. My concern is approving sewers into 26 acres. The zoning, if you hit the lottery tomorrow and decide you want to sell that property could be zoned differently. We have, the town of Mooresville has absolutely no control of the zoning of what can go in there. Plainfield has thrown up apartments pretty quick in several places.
Right.
The sewer line there, kind of across from that, that takes in that whole north addition. And that's not a huge sewer line. I know that we've had some problems there with inflow and infiltration on private property. Not on our stuff. Our lines up there are in pretty good shape. The past years, we spent a lot of money up there getting the system watertight, but we still have some inflow and infiltration problems from the private property, the clay tile laterals, and the 70-year-old homes up there. If we have a blockage and then we're bringing in sewer above that kind of, there are some tri-levels still in that subdivision, that although they don't want us to use their house for storage, sometimes it can happen. I know that we have a larger line down at Indiana Street, but I would be afraid. You said 36 homes.
36 homes.
On one, and then how many on the other?
12.
12, so 48 homes at 5,000 gallons a month. I don't know what that would do to our system. I don't know if anyone's done any numbers there. We did a snapshot and had our south side looked at, but we were always landlocked north, and we didn't really concern ourselves with growth north because we knew that we couldn't annex or grow north. So this is something that's a little bit unique,
Okay.
in my opinion. I don't know. I don't know if our system will take it up there. I don't know if we could have an analysis done. I don't know how much that would be. I know that when we did the analysis on the south side, I think that was $50,000, Chelsea?
Talking the major utility portion or?
No, that was the banded
Banded portion, at least.
Okay. So, I don't know what it would take to know for sure what we're up against. And I know that you'll do a fine job on anything that you do up there. Your Stanley Cove is amazing.
Thank you.
But it's also permission to hook on our sewer, and zoning is forever, whether he owns it or someone else owns it. So that's my concerns.
Yeah, I'd be willing to take on that analysis side of it to show one way or the other if it can handle that.
To fund the study.
Mhm. And then, when I mentioned this to Hendricks County, they brought up that same concern too about using Mooresville sewer, that there would have to be specific language in there that once that development is done, Mooresville would have to have complete control over who would tie into it any further. So that way there's a
Well, then, when we do have a problem up there, then we're sending our employees outside of our jurisdiction, which I know we do that we do that now with the Lakeside Commons, but we also have, the light at the end of the tunnel is we can annex it at some point in time once we get to see. So, it's unique.
It is. It is. That area needs housing, trying to, because it will benefit the town of Mooresville, they'll come south and spend all their money in town. Mooresville.
Any other comments or questions for right now from the council? What would be the next step? Let me order a study?
I think we would probably want to have Banning maybe, or Banning or whoever, have an engineering firm give him a proposal. This is the scope of the work that we'll do, and then we approve it. And then if he wants to fund it, I guess we can look at it from there. They'll be able to tell us, hey, that system can or cannot handle another 48 homes, or it can handle another 500 homes. And at that point in time, we can buy more grant.
And we need to get an opinion from the town attorney about annexation as
Yeah.
well.
I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah, I think that's really, I know that.
You want it to be annexed, correct?
Yeah, I
If-
can
I
answer
mean,
that
you
for you.
personally.
That's gonna be hard with Henry County.
That's gonna be.
Okay.
Yeah,
You've already said.
I've already mentioned that to them, and,
Okay,
yeah, that'd be a tough one.
okay.
Yeah, and, I think Plainfield owns, I don't know how many acres they bought there, that was part of the abatement, and, they may be a 5-to-1 mitigation there, but what ends up happening is all of that mitigation says until there's a higher and better use. Well, sometimes warehouses are higher and better uses, sometimes apartments are higher and better uses, but I think we've seen that in areas that they've abated, noise abatements or wetland abatements, that all at once, they don't need it quite as much. So, I think that the first question is, it's gonna be hard pressed for me to support coming out of another county with sewage. I will say that. But I also would say that I would keep an open mind to the point of, can our system even handle it? Could our system even handle it if we chose to do it? Chris?
Do you remember if the church, north of them, didn't they approach us once?
They approached us,
Got denied.
they approached us and asked it, and that system east, across from where you are, and that's what they were wanting to do, was come straight across the road there into that Westwood or
Right.
right across that and tie into the main there. Now, again, it's forever, because what they said at that point in time was, we're a small congregation, we're just, we're doing this, but we're also looking at the designs of the church, we're putting in possibly a daycare, possibly, food services, so it could just grow there. And we had some problems there already with that section, with some inflow and infiltration from the private property. Again, that system would get backed up on us. The lines would get charged in a 2 or 3 or 4 inch rain event. Got a lot of that solved, but we did tell them, it came before a vote, and we denied their request. And that was a 5-0 vote.
Any other thoughts or questions from the council?
I don't think so.
Anybody from the audience? Mike? I thought you might. I could sense it.
I'm Mike Gallagher with the Morgan County Economic Development Corporation, and I have a meeting tomorrow with a landowner that's adjacent to Sean's ground. Dick's got 268 acres up there. I think you've probably already seen it advertised. And he's asked the same thing. And I'm meeting with him tomorrow, his residents, to discuss whether it's an opportunity for not just what Sean's after, but even to take that 268 acres and see if it could be sewered by the town as well. I've had conversations with the town of Plainfield about this in the past few months. The town doesn't show a terrible interest in coming south of the interstate until we show an interest in it. And what I might suggest to you is rather than worrying about annexing it, where you have to maintain all the services that a municipality would provide, just put a surcharge on the sewer system as an extraterritorial service, which you do already in this county as it is, by providing services to sewers that are already, properties that are outside the town proper, that have already committed to voluntary annexation by waiving remonstration when contiguity would be established. So really all you're looking at is there's a line on the map that says to you, can we cross that line or not? It would require interlocal cooperation, but just wanted to iterate to you that it's not only Sean, but others that are up there interested as well.
Had those property owners requested annexation from Langton?
I can't speak directly to that. I just know that Plainfield's immediate response was, that's a ways off for us, but we're not so sure that we want you to have it. So what I might suggest again is rather than you, because they're looking for tax revenue, rather than you looking at having to annex it all, just provide the sewer service to the developers at a surcharge. So it's something to consider. And I'll have more to report to Shane after the meeting that we have tomorrow, and Dustin's aware of it as well from the EDCs. So just something, food for thought. Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else? Do you have a plan then?
I think so.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
I'll go figure out if it's even feasible. Then we can talk about it again.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda, we had a resignation on our planning commission, and Mr. David Sadler, who is a BZA member now, he's in our audience, offered to fill that position. So I put him on the agenda. I looked back and it looked to me like it was a council approval based on the minutes that I found. So that's what it is. Would you like to say anything, David, or no? Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Sadler? Or?
From a payroll perspective, who are they replacing?
Dennis Chambers.
Shane, I think, if you look, I think that is the 4 citizen members appointed by the town council president. They're currently Robert Allen Ball, Perry King, Dennis Chambers, and then that vacant spot that we had that you filled. So that is actually going to be yours.
In the meeting minutes, he was approved by council.
I think maybe everyone was just happy that he was someone on the volunteer.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. You're certain of that?
That's the way we have him listed.
What do you think, town attorney?
We can.
Does the appointment need to be made today
Well,
until you guys can figure out who's?
it's just in the meeting minutes says the entire council voted on him, so.
I think it needs to be made before he changes his mind.
But he says there's records that it's
Yeah.
the president's appointment.
Well, if I would,
But
if the council votes and I vote to approve him, then
Yeah.
would it matter?
I would say he's appointed, but we should figure out for paperwork purposes for the next time who is appointed and.
That's something else I think Jewel was working with you on to have a master list, or was Jewel gonna keep that?
No, he was gonna share that once
He's compiling that list.
he's got all the information from us.
Jewel's had a lot to do because we've had COVID, a tornado, protests.
I know.
We've been a little busy.
2020, I understand.
So with that, I guess then I would accept a motion just to cover us.
Yeah, you could.
Okay.
Currently on BZA, we have Perry King, Neil Allman,
Mike Young.
Mike Young, and David.
Uh-huh.
So that will give us, that would put us, I think, in violation of 3674-903, of having 3 members of the BZA on the planning commission. So that would constitute a quorum when they all show up at the planning commission meeting.
Can you cite the statute again? Because I'm looking at the planning commission statute. Talking about-
Look at 3674-903. Well, you can go back to 902 also. Because the BZA has to be, is an executive appointment. 1 member must be a member of the planning commission. That's the executive. And 2 must not be members of the planning commission. And then 1 citizen member appointed by the town council, who must not be a planning commission member. 1 member appointed by the planning commission, who is a citizen member of the planning commission. Other than a member appointed by the town council. And they may be our buffer zone representative, which Mike is.
Mike is.
So that'd be the only thing that would bother, that I would have a question is, I mean, I really need volunteers, and Dave said he would do it, so I really wanted to do it, but I don't know if that gives us that would give us 3 members of our 5-member BZA on the planning commission.
Give you Perry, Mike, and
Dave.
Dave.
So right now, the 3 citizen members appointed by the executive, how many are members of the planning commission?
Right now, the executive appointments, there's 3 executive appointments. And that is Perry King, this is on the BZA, Neil Owen, and David. The town council appointment to the BZA is Charles McGuire. And then the planning commission appointment to the BZA is Mike Young, who is our buffer zone representative that's appointed by the county commissioners.
So there should be 2 planning commission members on the BZA.
Yes,
And right now, you're saying there's 3.
this would make 3.
I asked Beth Copeland about this before I put it on the agenda, but she didn't bring up that issue.
Well, like I said, it's an executive appointment. Go ahead. I mean, you can make it, we can change it.
Well, if it's wrong, I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah, because 2 executive appointments must not be members of the planning commission. So if there's already 1 person on the planning commission on there, then this would be.
Number 2?
Yeah,
So that's okay or no?
no.
His issue was a quorum, right?
Yeah, that's an issue as well, but even by statute, it's pretty specific. 1 must be a member of the planning commission, and 2 must not be members of the planning commission, of the citizen members appointed by the executive.
You gotta be the BZA member first. No, just kidding.
Oh, I would hold off on that.
Okay. Sorry, I'm sorry, Dave.
Dave, I want you to be on both. But you can pick which one you want to be on. Sorry? You can pick which one you want to be on. That's your, I think both of them are your appointments.
So we need to find somebody that's not on BZA for me to pick, okay.
Unless it would be replacing the person already on plan commission. Yeah.
Okay, good catch, Tom. Okay, sorry about that, Dave, I feel bad about that. Okay, Mooresville 200th anniversary is coming up in 2024, so we have, Jessica and I are the council liaisons for the 200th anniversary. And we have asked two people to chair the 200th anniversary for the town, which will be a long celebration. We wanted to get ahead of the celebration, start planning early for the celebration. And so the two that have volunteered to help us with this would be David Reddick and Sharon Taylor. David Reddick was the chair of the bicentennial torch relay through Morgan County. So he helped a lot with that event, so he's had a lot of experience with kind of large scale commemorative events. And then Sharon's got a lot of experience with just helping in the community, and she's been a long time member of the community. I just wanted to bring them here. Dave mentioned that he wasn't feeling well tonight, but Sharon's here. Would you like to come up and just say a few words as to why you want to serve, or why you would like your excitement about the event, or whatever you want to say?
Thank you, Shane. I am excited. I appreciate you guys asking, considering me for this. It's an honor, and I think it's going to be something that will really bring our town together. I think it's going to be something people will be excited about, and I think we're getting started at a good time with 3.5 years, although time's going fast, to work on it. It's going to take that long. I see it as a whole year-long celebration where we will tack the 200th anniversary onto everything we already do, Old Settlers, and just the Victorian Christmas, everything that goes on already, but then also with extra things that will make our town special that year. I think, like I said, everyone will want to be involved. Dave and I have already met, and we're going to be forming some steering or subcommittees for different areas, entertainment and history and that type of thing. We'll have Facebook page, email link where people can get involved by giving us ideas. We appreciate your ideas as well. So a few things have already just started. We're definitely in the planning stages. We have several years to plan, but I think it's going to take that long. So hopefully we'll be able to come back to you guys and give, I don't know, quarterly reports or whatever you would appreciate. We can do that.
Yeah, probably something quarterly for a while, and as the thing comes closer, maybe more periodic updates.
Okay.
I would like to disclose that Sharon is part of an organization that is a tenant of mine. I just want to disclose that to the public. I don't think there's any conflict there, but I just want to disclose that. So, what's that? She's part of an organization that is a tenant of mine.
Okay.
So I don't know if we need a motion or not. I kind of would like to have one just to solidify who our co-chairs are for the 200th anniversary. So with that, do you have any questions or comments for Sharon? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. So you are now the official co-chair of the 200th anniversary. I think it's exciting. It's going to be really nice for the town. Thanks for coming. Next item is the additional appropriation, police department new technology equipment.
I've got a couple items for you tonight. The one I passed out last time was the server and the software for that, the Indiana IVR and the CAD to CAD. Jessica, you weren't here last time, so I don't think you get a copy. There's only one difference on that, and that's the amount of the incentive that they dropped it to 1,000 since we went past that date. But all the other stuff is exactly what that is.
Thank you.
Steve, Elsroff, who is pretty much my, I guess, so-called expert of all of our technology as far as the computer system. So if you have any questions on this, Steve is prepared to answer those to the best of his ability. Do you want to go through that?
Sure.
Item by item?
I can do that. Good evening. The first item on here is the Motorola Solutions quote and purchase amendment. This was for several things. One is the new server for the Mooresville Police Department, including Linux and Windows for the PD. I think Mr. Worthen and I have talked about this over the last couple of years, and replacing the server, the one we have, is well out of life. The software is out of life, both for the Windows box and for the Linux box. This is a virtual machine that runs both the Windows, which would be the Exchange, Words, Microsoft Word's the standard packages, all of the other Windows-based systems. It'll also be virtual for the Red Hat Linux, which runs the Spillman software for the department. That our current Linux package is expired. It's got about 3 months left on support for that package. The server that it's on is, I believe, 8 years old. The other one is 9 years old. So this would replace 2 servers with one. It would run both the Spellman support on Linux package, and it would also run our Windows-based programs. That's the server package itself. That is an industry standard package. About the third page back is the server specifications. It is a standard Dell server. I've had these server specs reviewed by at least 3 different IT individuals, and this is the server that is recommended by Motorola Solutions. It's also the one that was purchased by the city of Bloomington about 6 months ago. So their Spellman SSA down there, if you have any questions, he can answer that for you as to the quality of the server devices. Again, it's a very highly standardized piece of equipment. The second part of the hardware, which is the remote server migration, is moving the data from our current Spillman storage and device to the new server. That is done remotely by Spillman. It's Motorola Solutions now. They hook up, they move the data. It's a lengthy process, but it's transparent to the end user. We will not see any change on the daily operations while the process of moving that data. The other item listed here was the Indiana IBR with on-site training. That is incident-based reporting. That is a federally mandated, and I think you might know what a federal mandate would be, which provides that you have to use this type of software and report your criminal histories and your arrests, your activity to both the state and the federal government. Failure to use this software negates any currently active federal grants and prohibits you from not having be able to apply for any further federal grants for your police department. You know, vehicles, vests, any of that. We have to have it. I think Jeff can tell you how big of a deal it is in Annapolis-Marion County for him to go through this. I think Chris probably could too. The county, as large as they are, actually has an individual that is full-time doing nothing but this. The other item in this group is the module listed CAD to CAD. Basically what that is software enabling the Mooresville Communication Center to transmit CAD runs and data and receive CAD runs and data from any other agency that has the Spillman data or Spillman software. In other words, Johnson County has it, we could transfer data between us and Johnson County. Morgan County has it, we can transfer data between us and them. They take a run, it's on us, they transfer. We take a run, it's on them, we transfer. The Motorola Solutions software, I believe it's Motorola Prime, which Indianapolis Marion County uses, is also owned by Motorola Solutions, and so is Hendricks County. So potentially we would be able to transfer data and run information between all of those agencies. So that is the information on the server and the software modules along with it. I know it doesn't sound like much, but I did get them to take $1,000 off. And they did split the total payments into two, 50% each. I think that's about the third or fourth page. Half within 30 days from approval, and the other half when we do our normal Spillman maintenance agreement in January, which is already in the budget. The maintenance agreement is for the CAD to CAD and IBR is listed as $1,885. That provides us maintenance, support, software updates, and any issues we have 24/7 with Spillman. Ask away.
Would you please, I'm seeing 4 items, the CAD to CAD, the server, this remote server migration, and the IBR. Would you very briefly, for the benefit of the public, describe what those are and then their associated price?
And the what, sir?
And the associated price.
Okay. The server and the remote server migration is a package. That is buying the steel, the hardware, the server is the actual disk drives, RAM, the processors, the chip boards, etc. The remote server migration is the software engineering behind the scenes to move the data from our current storage locations, whether it be on the Linux server we have now or backed off onto our storage backup on Barracuda to the new box to run that. That hardware is pretty much a package. The CAD to CAD is just software that permits communications from our system to another Spillman Flex system. The Indiana IBR is the software that data mines our current Spillman data that we have, both current and past, puts it in the format that's required by the state of Indiana and the FBI. Make sure it complies with those decrees and federal regulations. And again, that's determined by either the IDEX committee here in the state, or it's determined by the criminal justice agency with support agencies, part of the FBI. Spillman models that software to make sure that all those requirements are met. Indiana's is not unique like some states. Illinois has a completely different IBR standard. Utah does have different standards, so does I think Washington State, if I remember. But the maintenance cost for that IBR software and the training, that maintenance cost guarantees that our software is in compliance at all times. if there's a change, an update, they provide that for us.
So then the pricing is, on the CAD to CAD, I'm showing 8708.85.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
That is those are one-time costs, okay? That's one-time capital outlay for everything that's listed here. What is a recurring cost is the maintenance on an annual basis of basically $1,800.
so the price of the server is $45,934.80. The price of the migration is $87.36.
Correct.
And the IBR is $13,033.52.
Okay, now the IBR cost includes Spillman sending staff here to our agency to make sure it's up and running and training our staff on the use of that. So it's not just the software, it includes the base training.
That's the grant writing,
That's the one dealing with
or we need it
criminal
for
history, yeah.
grant writing.
Right.
And then you said you saved $1,000 on the front of this. It says there's a $3,000 quarter two incentive. Is that another?
The second quarter incentive ended June 30th. There was no additional benefits or anything after the 1st of July. However, since we've a 25 plus year customer of Spillman Motorola, they did throw $1,000 discount in with it.
Any other questions, thoughts?
Since we're operating on wants right now, not needs, how important is this CAD to CAD for $8,700?
CAD to CAD's a want.
Right.
Okay, it's
Can
not-
we do without that right now?
We could do without that now, we could build that in a later budget item or whatever. The server migration is well past the need, it's almost a have to. The IBR is probably a need down, now and down the road. Now, one thing,
Well, if we're getting grants right now, like our vest and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, it would be
we have to pretty
necessary
much
there.
Purchase it.
the one thing is, they've been pushing IBR for 3.5 years now. And it's finally working correctly. And we put off to the end, we're probably one of the last agencies that's even looking at this in Indiana. Everybody else has probably jumped on board. My feeling was wait till we get all the bugs worked out of it, both at the federal and the state level, to get that out. Now, the mandatory submission of data in the IBR format is January 2021.
Does this price change if you drop something? Is this a package price, or does the server go up if you don't buy the CAD to CAD? Or
No, the prices are unique
you think, okay.
to that. So in other words, you drop the CAD to CAD, that comes off. You drop NIBRs, you drop that off. The hardware cost is pretty much static because you're going to have to move your data.
How old is the server and what is its life normally? The one we have?
The one we have?
Yeah, you said it's beyond its useful life.
Well, the Windows Server software has been end of life for 3 years. The hardware box itself is 11 years old. Normal use is 5 to 7, depending on how well you maintain it. The Linux box we bought new through Spillman originally and had them set it up. They did it with our current system exactly what they're going to do here. We bought the server through them the last time, the hardware. They drop shipped it to Spillman, they loaded it, they programmed it, they put all the software on it, they made sure it was running, they sent it here, and then they did the data transfer. So we're basically replicating with the hardware what we did 9 years ago, I think, with Spillman.
Any other questions, comments?
Will this all fit into the rack that we bought?
Yes, it will stay in it will fit the racks we have in the power unit where we are now.
They check.
Yeah, there will be should be no additional anything in that box. We just put the,
Here should.
Should, yeah.
Did you say should?
well, we might have to move one of the other ones down. Okay? We are going to keep the old servers simply in place, simply with the data that we have on them up to this point, in case there's ever any oh heck moment down the road. But they're mounted, and this will reduce the number of servers we actually need to use from 2 to 1.
I'm not sold on the cat right now, to be honest with you.
The cat's really a want, okay?
Sure.
That would help things out, but it's not necessary to the operation of the agency.
This is something that can be built into the budget next year.
They'll do 2 payments.
Yes, sir.
with 0 interest no matter what we purchase off of them.
That's correct.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions about this? Thought I'd just let you know.
So we do half our first
I
payment.
have a question.
Go right ahead.
How much, what's the percentage of the federal funding that the Mooresville,
What was the question, Shane?
Could you come up and state?
What was the percentage of the federal funding we received for this?
Well, we don't receive federal funding for this. The federal government said if you want to apply for a grant from the federal government, you want to apply for a grant from the state of Indiana, you have to be using this incident-based reporting system.
Okay.
Okay, so this has to be in place before you can apply for a grant.
Okay, so how much would we depend on those grants?
I don't know, Chief, you know how much we get? We've got vests.
Currently we do vests. We always try to get grants for other items that we purchase.
So it's like, it's a need, you feel?
Yeah, the cost of that is, I think it would well exceed, or would be, the grants that we would be able to obtain would well exceed the cost of this
Okay.
software. So it would put us in the market to do that.
Could you state your name for the record so she can put it into the record?
Sarah Smock. Sarah Smock.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Anything else? Do we have a motion?
First payment will be due 30 days, and then it's gonna be end of the year, right, before this is built and ready? Projection date?
If we, for example, if we ordered it tomorrow,
I've seen that, but I know I might be wrong.
I can't, they just have the due date.
Yeah, so they don't have a lead time.
They don't have, the server would probably be available, I would say, and ready for migration by September.
Would it be CCI, Tom?
We could, because it's technology, but because of all these wacky people stopping smoking, we're not getting as much CCI as what we normally do. This would be my thoughts on it. If we break it down now, and I assume you're gonna have to sell this to Motorola, taking the module and the IBR, is that what it's called? IBR. Those are, taking those two prices, 67,704, taking $1,000 off of that. Surely you can get them to come down 1,000, even though we're not.
1,000's coming down, whether we buy all of it or one part of it.
Okay, 66,704 divided by 2, 33,352. We have requested, and all of our department heads have complied with pumping the brakes on spending. We could see that it was all for naught, that, you know, things went well and revenues came in at a level that surprised us. What I'd like to see happen, or my suggestion would be, if we order it with a breakdown of 2 payments. Let's pay the first $33,352.16 out of $245, our rainy day fund. We have a balance in there of $367,000. It's not raining yet, but at least that will get us started, get it ordered, and then probably by November or December, we'll see how things are going as far as revenue flows. And because we've asked the department heads to pump the brakes, we may see that somewhere in his line items, we have monies available that we can flop over and pay for this before the end of the year. You know, I don't want to, if things go terribly and horribly wrong, then we still have the money in that rainy day fund to be able to make our payment the January 31st with that. That would be my thought process. Yeah. That's not. That is in a form of motion.
So we have a motion to, just want to be clear, to order the server, the remote server migration, and the Indiana IBR, is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Financed the way he described. Through the first payment coming out of rainy day, correct? So we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, the next part. I know we have a check for, I believe it's, and I've got it here, 131.45, which came from Dave Schultz's car that we got from insurance. I don't believe, because when I came in as an interim, I believe we got $18,000 out of the car that was totaled in 2019. I don't know that for a fact. I've not been able to find it in any of my records. I've not had the opportunity to get with Diane and check her records. So I'm not sure of that exact amount. If any of you guys are, I would appreciate that acknowledgement. But what I'll try to do is fund some equipment in the additional cars that I will be operating this year. I will do a rundown real quick. I have copies of all the quotes and of this rundown also, if you guys would like to have a copy of that to follow along. Now, this underneath the stuff that we talked about with the IBR and the server and the CAD stuff. The top part of that is for 10/8 in-car cameras. They're $2043.95 a piece. That's down from the camera. That's actually a cost savings from what was actually in Schultz's car. To get 4 of those, it'd be $8,174.80. I would like to get 4 portable radios, which is the APX 6000s. They're $37.73 a piece. 4 of those would be $14,950.92. The printer scanners, which we work for our e-ticket and our accident program, which is called Aries, they're $808.75 a piece. I'm requesting 4, which would be $3,235. Requesting 2 laptops. The laptop replacement is $19.19 a piece for a total of $38.38. That would be for 2 of them. The mobile radios, I'm requesting 2 mobile radios. They're $8,022.90 a piece for a total cost of $16,045.80. Requesting 3 stalker patrol radars, they're $1,585 a piece, for a total cost of $4,815. On the quote, they showed $20 a piece for shipping. I will work with them on that to see if that's going to be an issue. I've got a quote for 3 mag lights. I can get those cheaper than what I can get it through Jenkins on Amazon. Total cost for 3 would be $240.69. The Stinger's the same. I was requesting 2 of those, which is another flashlight. They're $230.10 on Amazon. That was a total for 2. And then laptop mounts for 2 of the brand new vehicles, which basically is the cradle, and to mount it onto the console, be $823.92. That total is $52,361.23. Now, if you add up the total from the 2 wrecks, the $18,000 and the $32,131.45, it's $50,131.45. Any questions?
I thought we bought everything that we needed for the other cars last year.
Well, the problem we're doing is we're gonna keep the 4 cars, so some of that equipment, if we got rid of those cars, that was gonna be put into the new cars. We don't have that option now if we're going to keep those cars, so that we can keep those on the road also.
Can I take back my motion?
To keep the cars, you mean? Or for the server?
You know, he was sitting on $50,000 of his own money.
I think that's all you can get it to.
One of the small issues, and I think I figured out a way, or I think we figured out a way around, is we were counting on a little bit of that trade-in to pay for the cars. So, but these, what we're doing here with 4 cars is we're replacing the 2 that are wrecked. We're gonna use 2 of these to replace those.
The
So we
2
have a net gain of only 2 cars.
3 cars, I believe. Well, I'll have 3 additional cars other than my 22 for the fleet. Does that make sense?
We lost a car that was wrecked last year.
Unless
You lost this car.
So we replace those with 2.
Two of the
Yeah.
ones that we were gonna
And then
trade.
We got 2 more, and then I had 1 pool car, so that would be 3 cars. If you would like to ask me what I can assist you on this.
Where are we at on those prices? You remember, this is the first time I'm seeing this, these radios here, where were those on the, we just bought all new radios.
As far as which are you talking about, the mobiles or the?
Well, I think we bought new handhelds and mobiles.
Mhm.
We're still paying on that lease.
Mhm.
I believe. Steve, did we get extra radios? Didn't we get 2 extra radios then, that last purchase?
No, we simply replaced what we had.
Okay. So did we
Portable
say-
for portable and mobile for mobile.
So did we save the radios out of the 2 wrecked cars?
Trying to think, I think the portable was shot.
Portable was shot, the mobile was good, the mobile was okay.
I think the mobile's good, that's why I'm asking for 2 mobiles to put in the 2 new cars. 2 cars are fully done, and minus 1 has not been striped.
Other questions or comments?
date when that check may have been issued, then we can find it as far as, I'm assuming like everything else, it would have went back into maybe below it. I don't know. 'cause
You're
that's
talking
where
about the
money went.
insurance checks that we received from the Rex?
Yes.
Debbie is holding on, waiting on
Debbie's
a
holding on to
reply.
this right there based upon what we're
From
going
Kevin.
to do, or what you guys decided to do.
I think he's been waiting on, to talk to you guys to get back with Debbie, right?
And then but you don't know about the one that would have came in last year?
No, I don't.
Okay.
We could act on just the 32,000 if you wanted to, and then bring back, if we get a solid number on the other. And I've got a breakdown for that if you'd like that.
Where the money is, I go.
Do it all the time.
Yeah, I don't know something, we don't know. For sure.
I say we try to find more information by our next meeting.
Okay,
That,
so is that a motion to table, or?
yes.
So we have a motion to table, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Do you need this back, Kevin?
No.
You need this?
And if you'd like the quotes, I can give you copies of all the quotes.
Next item on the agenda, which is rezone North Ferguson Road. This was, let's see, this was a favorable recommendation from the planning commission to rezone. I think this is behind A&A transmission, correct? Yeah.
Allison's transmission.
Yeah, Richard Allison. It's transmission.
Well, it's Allison's A&A's over.
Oh, is that, I'm sorry, Allison transmission, yeah, sorry. Do you all have this in your packet? It'd be from ag to I-1.
It's just the one lot?
Yes. Lot 1.
Didn't we rezone this before?
Not in my time, I don't think, but
Remember that? They were really like that we did. So we approved it. So we just have some here.
was it during COVID perhaps? Or was that before live? It was in the last year? Because I don't remember it, but that makes sense.
But this is showing from ag. No one's here from, did Holloway send this over to be put on the agenda?
Tammy Van Hook provided that to me from the plan, from the BZA, to put on the agenda. She said that it had been held for 2 meetings, and she just received it yesterday. So she thought it was important enough to get it on the agenda after the packet was already sent out.
Did they provide an ordinance with it?
Mm-mm.
typically it would be
Right.
a zoning ordinance is certified to you guys.
Right.
And then you either accept it or reject it or don't do anything for a certain amount of time. So, I mean, I would usually say to read it like an ordinance, but there is no ordinance really saying what to do. I would almost suggest going back to the plan commission and seeing if there's an ordinance to act on, because this just looks like an application.
Yeah, with it.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion?
Listen, I don't know what's going on. Table for more information.
Okay. Well, we have a motion to table. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Department head reports.
All I want to do is thank all the people that, the agencies and departments that helped out on Friday the 3rd when we had the protest and the counter protest. We had members, we had either resources or manpower from Indiana State Police, Morgan County Sheriff's Department, Brooklyn Police Department, our own Town Street Department, our Parks Department, Fire Department Assistant Chief Matt Dalton, and firefighter Chris Mills hung out all the day. For the most part, it was a success. There was no injuries, no property damage, no arrest. For the most part, it was people. There was some yelling and stuff going on, but that was about it. Fireworks went off without a hitch. I wish we could do it that way every year now. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Any other department heads present?
Dave Eagle. No.
Matt Dalton, Assistant Chief of Fire Department. I got to run stats for last month and this month. I got copies. You guys want to see them?
Sure.
Yeah.
Have anything on the turn that you did?
They worked out something to do what he did
So you can. Whatever you want.
And I'll have to apologize. The copier decided to take a spell on me. Yeah, there you go.
Thanks.
So if you look at May, the run totals was, we had 98 runs, EMS runs for the month, had 11 fires. That could be either like trash fires, diesel fires, fire alarms, whatever. The others are basically assisting law enforcement, assisting the citizens with lockouts, stuff like that, and that's what your totals are. The next couple pages are basically breakdowns of what each run is. And then again in June, 96 EMS runs, 10 fires. The others were 43, for a total of 149 runs. So for the month. We've also, Stanley and I have been in contact with our fire alarm system. Hopefully by the end of this month, our lady box will be up and running. So it'll be training, my understanding, for our guys, for dispatch and stuff like that, what we need to do in case any baby gets dropped off at our firehouse and our community. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other department heads? I think that's all I see. Or is there, am I missing? Oh,
This is Calvin Moultrie.
okay.
Calvin Moultrie, wastewater treatment.
Hi.
The clarifier that floated is now in the ground. It's been working. It worked the last rainstorm we had, we had 4.5 inches of rain. And we handled it. We had a few problems with infiltration, but we got through it. And it's operating fine. Kingman is not finished yet. They will not be finished till they take their lock off our gate. They interlock the gate with our lock so that they can get in at any time, and until that lock's removed, they're not finished.
report I have.
4.5 inches. I know I talked to you the following day, and you said that numbers were up, but you expected them to go back
They
down.
went back down, we're in good shape, once again.
That was a weird storm. It wasn't even on the radar. It formed over us and stayed. I mean,
I live 2.5 miles north of here, and I got 2 inches. It was just tremendous amount of rain.
yeah, it was a ton right here.
Right up, real fast.
Yeah.
At 10:30, I was at the wastewater treatment plant. I thought if there was a clear car sticking out of the ground, I was just gonna get on 67 and go south and not stop.
It's working real well. It's all finished. They have odds and ends.
I appreciate you coming. Sorry you had to sit through such a long meeting.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Next item is legal. Town roofing bids. I think Jewel may have talked with you about it a little bit.
I got an update from Jewel today, and I know he had done some research into it and landed on the thought that the work needed to be done at, the initial bid that he put in. And I think he said he's been talking to his attorney. I don't really have an update of where that is, but he says he thinks it's getting worked out. And when he's here, I know he can provide more information, but that's the update.
Any other updates from legal?
Not for me.
Any other questions for her? The next item is public comments. This would be public comments for things that aren't on the agenda necessarily. So we just ask you to come up and state your name and go ahead and give your comment.
Hello, my name is William Henry. I'm a Plainfield resident, concerned about an incident here that happened on the 3rd. I live in Plainfield, and I have family and friends who live here in Mooresville. I frequent Mooresville. I love the businesses here. I know the majority of Mooresville residents are good, kind, and nice people. This is nothing against the people of Mooresville, but somehow I've been made an enemy by pointing out a mistake that someone made that could have been very easily corrected by leadership saying something very small and short. I'm a conservative libertarian, and I'm very pro-Second Amendment. And that's serious. I want everyone's rights to be protected. Everyone who was out there carrying did the right thing. They handled their weapons. They didn't put them up on a bipod facing a building across the street. That simple act could have caused grave danger to a lot of people. And from what I heard, it wasn't their property, and the tenant owner was very upset that they were on top of her building. I grew up shooting. I'm a U.S. Army combat veteran. I deployed to Afghanistan in 2010, deployed to Kuwait and other areas in the Middle East in 2012 and 13. I deployed with the Indiana National Guard, 38th Infantry Division, and I was a public affairs specialist writer. So I covered a lot of the training that was going on in Afghanistan during that time, a lot of police training, military police training. And there was a lot of blue on green attacks and things like that from these folks that we were training too. So there was a lot of weapons safety training, and there was a lot of things that we had to do to ensure that these people knew exactly how to handle these weapons safely. I saw those photos and it really upset me. But I did view another photo of a building right across the street that had someone standing on it, which is not a big deal. Someone standing on a building is not a big deal. The weapon on the bipod facing the buildings across the street was a concern. I called it out online on Mooresville Community Chat Facebook page. I posted that the act was unsafe. The more I learned, it kept looking bad, and I kept getting trashed because of me pointing out a firearms safety concern. Me pointing out a firearms safety concern
had everyone turn on me as if I was somehow the enemy here. These mistakes should be lessons learned. These mistakes should be taken into account and not ignored by leadership. I've been personally attacked by members of this council for calling out a simple firearms mistake. And my words have been contorted by the leaders of this council that this incident could have ended up much worse than what it did. I've been threatened even coming in here today. Imagine that. Calling out a firearms mistake. I'm the bad guy now. You know, a lot of folks go to the range, and there's a range control in most places that are military related, and you listen to the tower and you listen to the range control. The Mooresville police should have been the range control that day, and they should have said, hey, why don't you put that rifle down at your feet in case anything happens. Don't have it up at the ready, sitting there on a bipod. Anything could potentially happen. That weapon could fall over, get knocked over into the crowd below, injuring someone. A plethora of could have happened, but luckily they did not happen, and that's a fact. That just because it did not happen does not mean it does not need to be recognized, because it's very important that this be recognized as a safety concern. And from a control standpoint, the police officers on the ground should have had superior everything. They should have had control over the situation. I know that they said that they coordinated with a lot of different departments that day, but I didn't hear anything about this group. Did you coordinate with this group that was across the building that day on the 3rd?
We met with several spokesmen of several different groups. That's about the extent of that.
Was their participation conveyed to the town of Mooresville properly? That they were assisting, because the way that they had put it, they were assisting you. And they had full approval to do what they did because they were assisting you, and they had already talked about it and conversed about it. Does anyone know on this council, can anyone tell me the first rule of the National Rifle Association rules? Gun safety. Always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. That barrel of that weapon pointing toward that building across the street was not a safe direction. I don't care who you are, what you think, whatever goes through your mind, that is not a good direction. This is not the range. This is the town of Mooresville. This is not a firing range. Does the police have reserve officers so they can call in these times where you might need more officers? Do you have reserve officers that you can call?
Every officer except night shift was on duty that day.
But there's no reserve that you can, no one that you can call and that could be deputized immediately?
We have reserves, and they were working.
Okay.
And Chief, I'd ask you not to reveal tactical because that's not necessary. That's not necessary to reveal your tactics.
So this tells me that the group was not trained by the Mooresville PD for escalation of force procedures.
We're gonna treat this like a courtroom, you're acting on an awful lot of hearsay. Because I think our chief did a fine job handling this.
Yes, he did. He did.
And you're giving your opinions.
I'm giving my opinion on an incident that happened during that.
I disagree.
Which was a very unsafe act.
Disagree.
That's fine.
That's fine.
You can disagree.
So can you, sir.
Yes, I can, and I do. And this is what I wanted to bring up today to this council for record, that it's on record. And I just wanted it to be a lesson learned for some of these other towns that may encounter some of this stuff. We've got a lot of people coming into our towns, dividing us over a lot of stuff. And it's coming like an avalanche right now, or a lot of these other towns too. These people are organizing this. There's counter protests being organized as well, and they're basically following these people around, and they're helping escalate these issues. There are people who mix themselves within the legitimate groups, and they cause trouble because they capitalize on that moment. I was downtown Indianapolis the night of the riots, the first night of the riots that happened, and there were a lot of individuals who were inside of those groups who were protesters who were there to do damage, and that's why they came. That was well into the evening, and that was a completely different kind of crowd than what had been there earlier for the actual protest. So protesters and rioters are two completely different things. So if we have a protest and we have a rally, that should not be treated as a riot. Or if you're going to prepare for it, that's fine, but it's not a riot yet. So being prepared for it is one thing. It being a riot is another. So these are the concerns I wanted to air today. I'm not an evildoer. I was calling out a gun safety issue. I was being ignored. I wasn't being taken seriously, and I didn't appreciate that. Thank you.
Can I ask one question? A moment ago, you said you were threatened to come in here. Who threatened you? Was it townspeople or just people on Facebook, or who threatened you?
The threatening messages that I received, the threatening, look, I've stood out alone on a lot of issues. And a couple people who say threatening things to me are not going to scare me enough. I've stood out on many, many issues on myself, by myself, alone. And I think, I'm pretty sure, and I know actually, that I have done the right thing in those times. So,
William, good luck in Plainfield, sir.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, hi, my name is Scott Anderson, 1365 Sugarberry Court, Roberson Woods. I was asked to come tonight as a representative of the Homeowners Association Board regarding an issue of drainage in our neighborhood. There's an ongoing drainage issue at the intersection of Rosewood Lane and Roberson Boulevard in the Roberson Woods subdivision. And it's causing some flooding in backyards. Potential solution to this problem is to raise the very low storm drains, which would eliminate the entire problem. This solution has been discussed with Dayton Moore as a viable option.
And I'm Steve McKee. I'm the homeowner at 1242 Rosewood Lane. And I have the neighborhood plans here. So the issue is at the intersection of Roberson and Rosewood, there's 3 catch basins, and they all connect to each other, and then they go underground between lot 50. So yeah, 50 and 49, and it comes out in the back and it dumps straight into our backyard and goes down. So when it rains, we get swells of water 6 to 8 feet wide because it basically catches everything coming east to west down Rosewood and then south to north on Roberson Boulevard. So I brought some pictures and plans. And these are the old plans, so this road was never finished here. So basically it stops here, and there's the catch basin here, here, and here, and they connect to each other, and they go back underground and then come down the back side. And a lot of times water lays there, and it gets murky, and mosquitoes and things. And I know Dave's come out and looked at it a couple times, so just trying to see if there's any sort of options that we have to get that corrected. So you can see the pipe that comes out in the backyard. So this is from all 3 catch basins. They all merge into this one drain that comes down our backyard, and you can see It's actually eroded this out. This is the latest picture, and it runs down our neighbor's yard in the back. It's just a lot of water that comes out when it rains.
Let me pass this down.
Yeah.
This might be an item we put on maybe next agenda, new
Yeah.
business, that we have to look at before meeting.
Yeah.
We know what we're talking about, yeah.
Yeah. Dave, have you looked at this with them? You said you've been out there. Is this something that you can suggest to us next meeting?
Yeah, I could take a look at it again. I've been out a few times.
Okay.
There is silting in issues, whether it's silting in or neighbors downstream filling in so they don't have the swell to mow. But it does state in their covenants and restrictions that the drainage easements are to be maintained by the homeowners. That's why I haven't taken any action. But I did meet with Wallace Construction the other day, and we looked at options of eliminating the catch basins out in the street. You know, obviously engineering would have to go into that, I haven't looked at it. So
Would it be all right to put you on the next agenda and give us some time to look at it in between? It would be July 21st will be our next meeting.
Yeah, I think that'll be fine. And
Okay.
yeah, I think like Dave mentioned, I think the biggest issue is the silt that comes in because we tried to retrench it back in 2015, 2016. We dug down like a foot and it's already filled back in. And you can see in the picture the pipes like filled in halfway. It just continually dumps silt through there in and out the backyard. And the backyard's really soft and kind of sinking things. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think originally it wasn't completed to the plans that were designed because that road was supposed to go through. So I think they ran the drainage and then they decided not to continue the road. So I think it just stopped there. So instead of completing the drains on down to the lake, that it just stops and it comes out the culvert pipe right in our backyard.
Okay. So we'll put that on the next agenda. Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
Hello, my name is Crystal Davis. I reside at 21 Maryville Court in Mooresville. Honestly, I have not planned to speak at this meeting. I generally don't get to the meetings because of activities with my daughter, but after listening to this gentleman from Plainfield, I do feel like it needs to be noted that there are Mooresville residents that do feel like a gentleman on the roof with a gun goes beyond, I think, what we should find acceptable in our community. I say that with all due respect to you. I think that you did a wonderful job. I have a 13-year-old daughter who I had planned to take to the rally. In speaking with my husband, who works here in town, he's a local barber, he had heard a lot of rumors, and those were rumors that there would be a lot of people heavily armed. And he asked me not to take our daughter. And so I was respectful of that, and I did not really want to put her in any kind of danger. My husband and I own several guns. I am not anti-gun by any means. I was raised with guns. My kids have been around guns. We don't have a problem with that. I did not have a problem with people having guns at the event. But when I saw the post on Facebook, it really did upset me. I'm also a teacher here in Mooresville. I spoke with several friends that were here, fellow teachers. I'm upset by the fact that kids in our community were put in that situation. To me, that is not a normal situation. I think that that is a military situation. I may have been a little bit more comfortable with it had it been Mooresville Police Department doing so. I don't know all the details. I do know just from Facebook, I do know that the business owner there, they were not in support of that. I don't know the business owner. I've seen the information on Facebook. I have not pursued that information. I just think it went a bit far, to be honest. Again, not a critique of you. Everyone said the event was handled well, and I'm sure that it was. I personally have a problem residing in a town where we allow that. I won't leave Mooresville. I love Mooresville. I'm a lifelong citizen of this town. I'm proud of that. But I think, and I don't know what the rationale for allowing that was, and that's not really my job to question that. I have confidence in law enforcement, but I will say that it was very upsetting. I'm still upset by it. I've been upset, by the way, some of our students of color have been made to feel. That's not law enforcement's, problem by any means. But I did have an issue with that, and I know this gentleman's from Plainfield, and that's a different community, but I do reside here, and I did have a problem with that. And I think that in the future, if we have events like this, in my opinion, I don't think that should be allowed. But I wanted to voice that and note that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Crystal Henry, and I do live in Plainfield, but I am a former resident of Mooresville. I used to go to newbie school. I was a Girl Scout. I was actually hit by a car at front of Value Market when I was 10 years old. So I have really close ties to this town. And the only thing we were upset about initially was a picture of this firearm pointed directly across the street to the building in front of it. That is not hearsay. It is a photo that clearly displays what's going on. Zydeco's used to be Honeydew Ceramics, and I grew up there. And my sister lives just a few buildings down. And I told her that night, I said, if you feel, you should just come to my house, because I don't know exactly what's going on. That weapon, I support the 2A. I do. I would feel very safe with someone, in my presence carrying. But this weapon pointed out like that is what we had a problem with. And when William mentioned it, he was met with just pushback because people must have felt challenged. I don't know. It wasn't about smearing a town. It wasn't about making anybody look bad. It was about awareness. And I feel really disheartened and hurt that we would have that pushback from leadership. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Anybody else on the gun issue?
Oh, thank you. I'll come up here so everyone can hear me better. I'm go over. I'm Sarah Smock. I live at 864 East Bunker Hill Road. I was concerned with the photos I saw on Facebook, and the guy with the gun on top of the roof was kind of weird. I think the police department did handle it very well. I think it could be a learning experience because we didn't know who those people were. We didn't know if they were the business owners, if they were the tenant, the building owners, if they had permission to be there, what was going on. I think tension was very high that day, and that this could just be taken as a learning experience, so we can plan if the avalanche of protest and what have you keeps coming to our town, we can plan for that better next time, have a better response so people feel more safe and that everybody's on top of things, everybody's on the same page. My second thing is doing something to get the federal funding. I'm just a little worried about that. Federally, how there's all the pushback for police change or defunding or how that's going to affect what's to come in the next few years, decade, if we're spending money on something to appease them and then they don't have any money to give us at that point in time, what's going on with that? I know that's an issue you guys have been talking about, and I just actually piqued my interest at this meeting right now, so I'm glad that it was brought up. And the other thing that I would like to say is that I do appreciate a lot of the transparency of the council, the Facebook posts, letting us know what's going on, giving interest, because I think that's really important for our community right now when we have people coming out of town, these groups with these different agendas, so we really all need to be on the same page and communicating with each other, whether we disagree or not. Communication is the big thing I think we could take away from the whole issue. Thank you.
Anybody else? I will say for the record that I think the idea that the building, the tenant, there's two tenants in that building and there's a landlord. One of the tenants was present all day, am I correct on that, Chief?
To my knowledge, yeah.
That tenant let those people into the building.
That is correct.
So our police, our town did not let people into someone else's building. That's private property. Are there any laws that were broken? That's my question.
No.
There's no law that was broken.
No.
What, I'm not aware of a local ordinance that prevents it, or a federal or state law that prevents it.
There's none.
So, we aren't kings here, you know. Constitutional rights go across the board. And I stand 1,000% by the police department in this town, who got us through one of the most divisive issues in this country, all-time issues, and especially right now, with people coming in from outside of here that were heated on both sides. We had people that, all kinds of ideas, more colors, more creeds, screaming back and forth, the whole works. And then they moved thousands of vehicles, and I guarantee it was thousands because it was thick, through here. Not one person was hit. Last night in Bloomington, a woman was run over. She may have grabbed a car, and there was an altercation, but in other words, she was run over by a vehicle. Indianapolis didn't have this kind of success. We had no injuries, no property damage. Did we even have an arrest?
We had one citation issued.
A ticket?
Yes.
We had one ticket. I'll take it. I'm proud of that. And I feel like everybody's constitutional rights were observed. BLM protesters had protection. You had cops everywhere. You had cops in places I couldn't see and I didn't even know about. Were you at a tactical disadvantage at any time during that rally?
No, we had other agencies in reserve that were prepared to come assist.
I stand by what you did. I'm proud of it. As far as I don't know how to pass a law to keep a private owner from letting somebody, a tenant letting somebody in their own business with their own key. I don't know. I don't even know if that's constitutionally allowed, but maybe it's worthy of a discussion. I don't know. But right now, I don't think there's a law we could have used to stop it. Right?
Correct.
I'm not into violating people's constitutional rights, especially not deliberately and knowingly.
That was our biggest concern, and the safety of the residents and the protesters in the county.
I understand it was alarming to some people. I mean, I do, like I thought
The best I can tell you is those individuals never got behind those weapons. We had them under surveillance by camera and by officers at all times.
Yeah, I saw the weapons aimed up into the air, and they were 25 feet at least above people already, and they were aimed at an empty building. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of things going on Facebook that may not exactly be accurate, but
Thank you.
thank you. Any more public comments? Next item, motion for the approval of claims.
Make a motion that we approve claims in the amount of $759,092.98.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Town council comments. Councilman Cook, do you have anything? Councilman Wortham? Councilman Stanley?
No.
Councilwoman Hester?
No.
And I have none other to say thank you to our police and first responders, fire, everybody that showed up in a heated situation. Next meeting date is Tuesday, July 21st at 6:30 here, and I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. I don't mean that.
get on it and try to get
I want you to
it
give
done
me a
as soon as
synopsis
possible where you
of
guys
what
can have a
you
special
just-
meeting.
I think we just forgot it, to be honest with you.
Shane, Dustin brought up a comment about adopting those common areas for maintenance.
Stop by tomorrow, will you?
Yes,
There are
yes,
people that would do that.
yes,
Okay.
I agree. I
So
think
that would be, they could advertise and do whatever.
How much
Is
do
this
you
what I
think
give
we
you?
could, I wonder if we could have it broken
I was like, I
down.
don't really know what I'm doing.
How much do
Okay.
you think people would